All right, let's jump right in. We're doing a deep dive today into the world of DevOps interviews. Specifically, we're dissecting this YouTube podcast script called How to Crack a DevOps Interview plus Common Resources. So, hopefully you can walk into your next interview feeling cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, this script is really interesting because it highlights how DevOps interviews aren't just about knowing all the technical stuff.
It's the whole package deal, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
They want to see your problem-solving skills, how you communicate, even how well you'd mesh with the company culture.
So the script breaks down what a typical DevOps interview process looks like. Let's walk through that.
Okay, so usually you'll start with a quick chat with a recruiter.
Just a feeling out process.
Right, they get a sense of your background, and you can, ask some basic questions, but then
it's go time.
Yeah, then you really dive into the technical stuff. This is where they really want to make sure you've got a good grasp on the tools, the platforms, all those essential DevOps concepts.
Could probably throw some coding challenges at you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they'll put you in problem-solving scenarios. What would you do if this happened? Kind of stuff.
See how you think on your feet.
Exactly. But there's more.
Hit me.
System design. Those rounds can be pretty intense.
Oh, yeah. I've heard stories.
They might ask you to design an entire CI/CD pipeline from scratch.
What?
Or they might say, okay, this complex system just crashed. How do you fix it?
You got to think big picture.
Right, and show them you can design systems that are scalable and can bounce back from anything, real world stuff.
But it's not all hardcore technical stuff, right? What about the behavioral part of the interview?
Oh, that's crucial. Think about those classic interview questions like, tell me about a time you messed up.
Everyone's got a story.
They want to know how you handle stress, how you work with a team, Make sure you're not a robot.
Well, so far so good. We've got a decent roadmap of how the interview will go. But let's talk about how to actually prepare for the technical side.
Yeah, let's get into it. So the script really stresses that you have to understand the core concepts of DevOps. And I'd say the biggest one is CI/CD.
Continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment.
Yep, all of that. It's the foundation.
And if DevOps had a heartbeat, that's it.
Exactly. CI/CD makes everything faster, smoother, more reliable. And then there's infrastructure as code, or IAC.
I see. I've heard about that.
It's a game changer. Tools like Terraform and Ansible let you write code to manage your whole infrastructure.
So instead of clicking around in a GI all day.
Exactly. Much more efficient and repeatable. Oh, and of course, scripting skills are absolutely essential.
Which languages are we talking about?
The script mentions Bash, Python, Ruby. Being able to write clean, efficient scripts, that's like a DevOps superpower.
Automating everything, making life easier.
Totally. And we can't forget about two other big players, containerization and orchestration.
Docker and Kubernetes.
That's the dynamic duo. Docker neatly packages your applications and everything they need to run, and then Kubernetes orchestrates those containers across a bunch of servers.
Working in perfect harmony.
Yeah. It's what makes the whole thing scalable and resilient, really automated.
The heart of DevOps.
Right. And the script stresses getting your hands dirty with these tools. Spit up a home lab, experiment, even contribute to open source projects.
They want to see you actually using the tools, not just talking about them.
Exactly. It's anyone can read a cookbook, but can you actually cook?
Okay, so we've talked about tools, concepts, but what about cloud platforms?
Right. The script is pretty clear. Get comfortable with at least one of the big three: AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud.
Got to know your way around the cloud.
Yep, they have all these services for building and deploying applications, and DevOps engineers need to know how to use them.
It's like having this massive toolbox.
Exactly. But you need to know which tool is right for the job and how to use it effectively.
Speaking of not always knowing the right answer, what happens if they ask you a technical question and you're just blank?
The script had a good tip for that. Don't panic.
Easier said than done.
I know, but seriously, even if you don't know the exact answer, just talk them through your thought process.
Show them you can think critically, break down problems, and find the answer.
Right. It's all about demonstrating how you learn and adapt. Those are valuable skills for any DevOps engineer.
Okay, so let's dive into some of these actual interview questions. The script gives us a bunch of them to work through. Technical, scenario-based, even behavioral.
Let's see what we got.
Okay, here's a classic one. What's the difference between continuous integration and continuous deployment? That really tests your understanding of CI/CD.
Yeah, for sure. You'd need to define each term clearly and then explain how they fit together in the whole software development lifecycle.
So with CI, you're automating the build and testing so you catch bugs early and maintain code quality. And with CE, you're taking it further by automating the release, potentially even all the way to production.
Right. It's about making that flow from code to deployment smooth and automated.
Okay, how about this one? How do you manage secrets in a CI/CD pipeline? Security is huge in DevOps.
Absolutely. You'd want to talk about using things like environment variables, secure vaults, and encryption, all that good stuff.
Keep those secrets safe.
Yeah, API keys, passwords, all those sensitive bits of info. You want to mention specific tools and best practices too?
Okay, let's get real world for a second. Here's a scenario. Imagine a deployment just failed in production. What do you do?
Oh, that's a good one. That's where they see how you handle pressure.
Talk about a high-stakes situation.
Right. A good answer would be to start by rolling back to the last stable version to minimize downtime.
Makes sense. Stop the bleeding.
Right. Then you dive into the logs, the metrics, start working with the developers to figure out what went wrong.
Like a detective, right?
Exactly. Piece together the clues, figure out the root cause, and then fix it.
All right, one last question. And this one gets a bit more personal. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a major outage. How did you handle it?
Yeah, everyone's been there. It's how you learn, right?
More about your soft skills than the technical details, I imagine.
Exactly. Did you take responsibility? Did you work effectively with your team? Did you document everything so it doesn't happen again? That's what they're really looking for.
Shows how you react under pressure.
Right. They want to see that you can not only handle the technical stuff, but that you can also communicate and collaborate effectively. That's huge in DevOps.
Okay, great. So we've covered.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, right. We're just getting
We
started.
haven't even talked about
We'll get to it
the system design round in detail.
next time.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned, folks. This is just part one of our deep dive.
There's a lot more to unpack.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already. Technical skills, behavioral questions, but there's one big thing we haven't tackled yet.
Yeah, the system design round.
This is where a lot of people get, a little freaked out.
It can be intimidating, but the script actually makes a good point about it. It's not about coming up with the most complex solution or even like the perfect design.
It's more about showing your thought process.
Right. Like, how do you approach a problem? How do you break it down? How do you make decisions about, what to prioritize?
They want to see you think.
Exactly. And to do that well, you've got to understand things like scalability, fault tolerance, load balancing, all those big system design concepts.
Making sure your systems can handle a lot of traffic, or if something breaks, it doesn't bring down the whole thing.
Right. Caching, database sharding, all that comes into play.
Makes my head spin a little, to be honest.
It's a lot. But the script had a really interesting suggestion. Study real-world examples. Like, how do companies like Netflix or Spotify design their systems?
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. See how those concepts are applied in a real-world, high-traffic environment?
Okay, so let's say you've got a decent grasp of the concepts. You've looked at some examples. How do you actually approach a system design question during the interview?
Practice makes perfect. The script recommends designing CI/CD pipelines from scratch. Think about how you'd integrate all the different tools, how you'd ensure security and reliability.
Building a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and don't underestimate documentation. Being able to explain your design choices clearly is so important.
Shows you can communicate your ideas.
Exactly. And this might sound obvious, but don't be afraid to ask questions during the interview.
Clarifying questions.
Yeah, if something's not clear, just ask. It shows that you're thinking critically and you're not afraid to get all the information you need.
Better to ask than to make assumptions and go down the wrong path.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about resources for all this prep.
Because the script gives us a ton. Online courses, books, practice platforms, even communities where you can connect with other people.
It's like a treasure trove of resources.
There's something for everyone. Let's start with online courses. The script recommends the Udemy DevOps Bootcamp.
That one's pretty comprehensive, covers a lot of ground. And if you're focusing on a specific cloud platform like AWS, the A Cloud Guru course is really good.
And it helps you prepare for the AWS certification too, right?
Yeah. Now, if you prefer learning from books, the script says The Phoenix Project is a must-read.
I've heard of that one. It's a novel. Right?
Yeah. It uses a story to explain DevOps principles, which makes it super engaging. And then for Kubernetes Up and Running is the go-to.
Hands-on learning, though. That's how I learn best.
Me too. The script recommends Katacoda and play with Docker for that.
Katacoda gives you those interactive scenarios where you can experiment with different tools.
And play with Docker lets you actually run Docker commands and spin up containers right in your browser.
All for free.
Uh,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, what about practicing for the actual interview, like mock interviews?
The script mentions Pramp and interview bit for that.
Pramp connects you with other engineers, so you can do live coding interviews, system design, all that.
Really good for getting feedback and getting used to that pressure. And interview bit has a bunch of DevOps specific questions and mock tests.
And you know what else the script emphasized? Community.
Yeah, finding online communities like on Reddit, LinkedIn, Slack, it can make a huge difference.
Getting support from other people going through the same thing, sharing tips and advice.
Totally. It's like having a network of mentors and peers to help you along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of resources. Let's wrap up with some final tips for actually acing that interview.
Yeah.
What does the script say?
Tailor your resume, for starters. Make sure it highlights your relevant skills and experience.
Keywords, metrics, specific projects.
Yeah, make it count. Your resume is your first impression, and don't be afraid to ask good questions at the end of the interview.
Not just like, when do I hear back?
Yeah.
But like real questions that show you've been paying attention and you're genuinely interested.
Exactly. It's a chance to learn more about the company and the role and see if it's a good fit for you.
Shows you're curious.
Right. And this might sound silly, but stay calm.
Interviews are stressful.
I know, but take a deep breath, gather your thoughts. It's okay to pause before answering a question.
Give yourself a moment.
Yeah. And always follow up with a thank you email after the interview.
Restate your qualifications. Thank them for their time.
It just reinforces your interest and leaves a good impression.
Makes sense. The script also had a really good point about something else.
What's that?
Every interview, even if you don't get the job, is a learning experience.
Absolutely. Each one helps you refine your skills, learn something new.
It's all part of the process.
Right. Don't get discouraged if things don't go your way.
What doesn't kill you?
Makes you stronger. Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes not getting a job leads you to an even better opportunity.
Okay, so what was it you were going to say before? About not getting the job and what it can lead to.
Oh, yeah. I remember interviewing this candidate once who had just had a really bad experience at another company. They didn't get the job, but they learned so much from that interview that they totally nailed ours.
Turn a negative into a positive.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that every step in the journey, even the tough ones, can help you grow.
Okay, so if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all this, just remember to take it one step at a time. Focus on the core concepts. Get that hands-on experience. Practice answering those questions.
And lean on your network for support.
Absolutely. And most importantly, remember why you're doing this. What excites you about DevOps? What problems do you want to solve?
Let that passion come through in your interviews.
It's about showing your genuine enthusiasm, how you can add value to the team.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you. How can you take all this information and make it your own?
Make it work for your skills and your goals.
Right. Think about that. Create your own roadmap to success.
Good luck.
You got this.
It sounds like they're really trying to gauge how you perform under pressure and as part of the team.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to a topic that can be a bit intimidating, even for experienced professionals, the system design round.
The script does a great job of emphasizing that this round isn't about achieving perfection or coming up with the most complex solution.
It's more about demonstrating your ability to think critically, make informed decisions, and design systems that are scalable, reliable, and can handle real-world demands.
It's like they want to see how you approach a problem, how you break it down into smaller components, and how you prioritize different aspects of the design.
Exactly. And to do that effectively, you need a solid understanding of key concepts like scalability, fault tolerance, load balancing, caching mechanisms, and even database sharding.
These are the building blocks of robust, resilient systems that can handle traffic spikes, hardware failures, and other challenges that inevitably arise in a production environment.
The script even suggests studying real-world examples like how companies like Netflix, Spotify, or Airbnb design their systems.
It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing how the experts tackle those massive user bases and complex data flows.
Those real-world examples can be incredibly valuable. They show you how theoretical concepts are applied in practice and how different design choices impact the overall system.
So let's say you've got a handle on the key concepts and you've studied some real-world examples. How do you actually tackle a system design question during an interview?
The script recommends practicing designing CI/CD pipelines from scratch. Think about how you would integrate different tools and services, how you would ensure security and reliability at each stage, and how you would monitor the entire process.
It's like building a well-oiled machine, where each component works seamlessly with the others to deliver software quickly, efficiently, and reliably.
And don't forget about documentation. Clearly explaining your design choices and the rationale behind them is just as important as the design itself.
It shows that you can not only design a system, but also communicate your ideas effectively to others, which is crucial for collaboration in a DevOps environment.
Here's an insider tip. Don't be afraid to ask clarifying questions during the system design round. It shows that you're thinking critically, considering different perspectives, and not afraid to seek clarification when needed.
It's much better to ask a question than to make assumptions and go down the wrong path.
Now let's shift gears and talk about something a little less intimidating: resources.
The script is a goldmine of recommendations for online courses, books, hands-on practice platforms, mock interviews, and even online communities where you can connect with other DevOps enthusiasts.
Here's something for every learning style and budget.
For online courses, the script gives a shout out to Udemy's DevOps Bootcamp, which covers a wide range of essential tools and concepts.
And for cloud-specific preparation, it recommends a Cloud Guru's AWS Certified DevOps Engineer course, which is a great way to deepen your knowledge of AWS and prepare for the certification exam.
If you're more of a bookworm, the script suggests The Phoenix Project by Gene Kim, which is considered a must-read for anyone interested in DevOps.
It's a novel that uses a fictional story to illustrate the principles and benefits of DevOps in a way that's both engaging and insightful.
And for Kubernetes Mastery, Kubernetes Up and Running by Kelsey Hightower gets a big thumbs up.
This book provides a practical guide to deploying and managing containerized applications using Kubernetes.
For those who learn best by doing Katacoda and play with Docker, get a special mention.
Katacoda offers interactive scenarios where you can experiment with Docker, Kubernetes, and other tools in a safe sandboxed environment.
And Play with Docker gives you a free platform to run Docker commands and spin up containers in your web browser.
For mock interviews and practice questions, the script recommends platforms like Pramp and InterviewBit.
Pramp allows you to practice live coding and system design interviews with other engineers, which is a great way to get feedback and improve your performance under pressure.
And InterviewBit offers a wide range of DevOps-specific interview questions and mock tests, so you can familiarize yourself with the types of questions you might encounter.
The script also emphasizes the value of community.
Joining DevOps communities on platforms like Reddit, LinkedIn, or Slack can provide invaluable support and insights.
It's like having a network of mentors, peers, and experts at your fingertips.
You can learn from their experiences, get your questions answered, stay up to date on industry trends, and even find job opportunities.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's wrap things up with some final tips for acing that DevOps interview.
The script highlights the importance of tailoring your resume to highlight your relevant skills and experience.
Use keywords that align with the job description. Quantify your accomplishments with metrics and showcase projects where you've demonstrated your DevOps expertise.
Remember, your resume is your first impression, so make it count.
And here's another gem from the script. Don't be afraid to ask thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
It shows that you're genuinely interested in the role, the company, and the challenges they're facing.
It also gives you a chance to gather more information and assess whether this is the right opportunity for you.
A well-prepared question can demonstrate your understanding of the company's goals, your insights into the industry, and your eagerness to learn and contribute.
Here's a simple but often overlooked tip. Stay calm. Interviews can be nerve-wracking, but remember to take a deep breath. Gather your thoughts, and don't be afraid to pause before answering a question.
It's much better to give a thoughtful response than to rush into something you'll regret.
And don't forget to follow up after the interview with a thank you email.
It's a simple gesture that can reinforce your interest in the role and leave a positive impression on the interviewer.
Reiterate your key qualifications. Express your enthusiasm for the opportunity and thank them for their time and consideration.
And here's a final thought from the script that I think is really important. Every interview is a learning experience, even if you don't get the job.
Each interview is an opportunity to refine your skills, gain valuable insights, and grow as a professional.
Don't be discouraged if things don't go your way. Every step in the journey brings you closer to your goal.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And sometimes not getting a job can lead you to an even better opportunity down the line. I remember interviewing a candidate who had a really tough interview experience at another company. They didn't get that job, but they learned so much from the process that they absolutely nailed our interview. They came in so well prepared, insightful, and with the resilience that really impressed us. It's like they turned that setback into a stepping stone.
Exactly. It's a great reminder that even those failures can be valuable learning experiences.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all this interview prep, remember to take it one step at a time. Focus on mastering those core DevOps concepts, getting hands-on experience with the tools here. Practice answering interview questions out loud, and don't hesitate to lean on your network for support and advice.
And most importantly, remember why you're doing this. What excites you about DevOps? What problems do you want to solve? Let that passion shine through in your interviews.
It's about showing them your genuine enthusiasm and how you can contribute to their team.
Exactly. As we wrap up our deep dive into cracking the DevOps interview, here's a final thought-provoking question for you. How can you apply all this information to your specific situation, your unique skills, and your career goals? Take some time to reflect on that and craft your own personalized roadmap to success. We're cheering you on every step of the way. Good luck, you've got this.